So you'll notice that yellow means outcome. So basically, these are the outcome variables that are captured by the questions on the MOTI app. So overall satisfaction with the volunteering activity, whether the volunteer identifies with and has an emotional commitment to the Kyrgyz Red Crescent Society or to the branch. The volunteer will, in a way, inform you of their intent to continue volunteering. This does not mean they will tell you they want to stop. You will have indications of how likely they are to continue. And then again, these will be averages. You will not know the individual answers. You will get the profile of your team because this is anonymous and this is about your leadership. It's not about them. So this is, you need to know if you see that half your team does not intend to continue, you will probably want to ask yourself why, and then this is where we come in to help elucidate that issue. Other outcomes are or indicators of outcomes rather, is the willingness that volunteers have to share their ideas for improvement, i.e., their perception of the space you are giving them to share their ideas, whether they feel that they share the same values as the National Society or the team. And again, you will have an indication of the prevalence of well-being or lack thereof. So the proportion perhaps of volunteers that are burnt out or that do not feel well. This is obviously important for ethical reasons too. You want to be taking care of your people. Now let's go into these basic needs. So self-determination theory explains how our behavior as leaders and managers, how we supervise volunteers, and also how the culture in our national society can either enhance, boost, or undermine, thwart, frustrate volunteer motivation, engagement, and well-being. And so the theory assumes that we all of us, whether you're a man, a woman, if you're Kyrgyz or Swiss, we all have three basic psychological needs. So the need for autonomy, which is the desire to feel freedom and choice when you do things, that things have a purpose for you, and that is why you decide to do this thing. So people always want to have a say in what they do, and they want to be allowed to voice their opinion. In fact, they want to be allowed to say, is there a better way perhaps to do this? The need for belonging is the desire to have meaningful relationships with the people in your team, in your group. Many people join the Red Cross, especially volunteers, because they want to belong to a group. So obviously this psychological needs to be met, because that's probably why many volunteers are there in the first place. If that need is not met, then why stay? And then the need for competence is really the desire to be able to achieve a challenging task with success, and to see the actual outcomes of that effort, the outcomes on beneficiaries, for example, on other people, on people in my team or the people I'm helping as a Red Cross volunteer. The feedback I get as a volunteer from the impact of what I'm doing is a source of motivation. And so that feedback loop is also very important, in the same way that your own motivation as a branch manager or a team leader can be enhanced by the positive feedback that you get from your team. So when these three needs are satisfied, well, people thrive. They are certainly more likely to thrive in their activity, and whether that's work, study, sport, or volunteering for your branch. So the crux of the matter is, what are these leadership and management skills that we need to develop so that the satisfaction of basic needs are met, and therefore we have a super motivated team. So, these are some suggestions, but again, what you do as a leader has to have a positive effect on people's autonomy, their sense of belonging, and their sense of personal mastery or competence. So here with the app and the training, so we focus on the impact of these specific aspects of leadership and management. So, how much do you as a supervisor support and encourage the volunteers' autonomy? And how strongly do you see, or how strongly do you encourage them to support each other? How often do you create a space where they are together and they help each other out? And then, how much do the volunteers feel that you appreciate them for the effort that they're demonstrating? So the app will actually give you a kind of profile. It will sort of guide you in asking these questions, getting the feedback on these questions, and then allowing you to reflect either by yourself or with colleagues or with your team on how you can improve these needs, how you can better satisfy these needs for autonomy, belongingness, and competence. And just to go a little deeper into motivation itself, and so these motivational outcomes, I'd like to tell you that leadership and management practice can either satisfy or frustrate basic needs, and then the results are actually quite varied depending on how much these needs are met or how much they're frustrated. So, for example, when these needs are totally satisfied, you will have an intrinsically motivated team. This means a team where people really enjoy themselves. They feel fulfilled by their voluntary activity. They really want to stay. They're engaged, they're committed. They ask questions, and then they suggest solutions. They are totally into it, and obviously that is pretty much the ideal. But when these basic needs of autonomy, belonging, and competence are frustrated, well, your people might not be that motivated. They may be what we call amotivated or unmotivated. That's one possibility. They still stay, maybe out of habit or just because it's convenient or they have nothing else to do, but they will not really be engaged. Or they might burn out. And they still come because they don't realize that they're not feeling well. They're just coming for a habit, or because they're ashamed not to come, or for some reason they feel guilty if they don't come to the meeting. But it's not because a volunteer is still volunteering and it's still present and active in a team that they're not burning out. In fact, they might be burning out, and without realizing, they just come because of their depression, because of their burnout, they cannot even take the decision not to come. And we have seen that in volunteering. We see it a lot with staff, and obviously all of this applies to staff as much as volunteers, by the way. Now, there's something called extrinsic motivation, and extrinsic motivation is actually pretty good. It's good to be extrinsically motivated, because it means that you will do the job. The level of engagement might not be as high, but most teams tend to be extrinsically motivated. In fact, we ourselves might be more extrinsically motivated when we go to work than intrinsically motivated. And so you're extrinsically motivated when you are actually justifying the fact that you're volunteering because you get something in return. Like you can get free training, or you can, get recognition from the community. People compliment you because you are a volunteer with the Red Crescent, and that is a good thing. And so you do get returns on your investment when you volunteer, and these returns come from outside. They come from other people. They don't come from you inside. So when you're intrinsically motivated, you do it because you enjoy it, because you feel fulfilled, you really believe in it. When you're extrinsically motivated, you do it anyway, but you do it for slightly different reasons. And that's okay. That's okay, because we're getting the job done. But in people who are extrinsically motivated, they are at high potential to become intrinsically motivated if you give them more space, if you give them more autonomy, if you allow them to do things that they feel very competent. And so you give them an opportunity to feel intrinsically motivated and therefore more committed, more engaged.